to be in this position. You know, one of the most special tennis courts in the world. So I look forward to this final.
Your fourth major final of the year. What's different about this one?
Well, playing against Roger obviously is always special. He's the best player in the history of the game. So it's an ultimate challenge that I can have, and hopefully I'll be able to deliver my best game.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the players for tonight's U.S. Open Championship match. In their 42nd career meeting, 17-time Grand Slam champion, Roger Federer. And the #1 player in the world, Novak Djokovic.
Sunset in the city. The sky is darkening. The rain has moved off to the north, and the buzz has only built because of about a 3-hour rain delay for this highly anticipated 1 versus 2 U.S. Open men's final. The final Grand Slam final of 2015. And the first time we have the honor of presenting it to you on ESPN. Federer leads the head-to-head 21-20 by virtue of his win last month in the final over Djokovic at Cincinnati. They meet for a final this year for the 6th time. It's just the 4th meeting, however, in a Grand Slam final. Two players that have dominated tennis in 2015, especially this man, Djokovic, going for his 3rd major title this year. He's played in all 4 major finals.
What's amazing, Chris, is that they've played so often. 42nd time that we've been lucky enough to be able to see these two guys step on the court. And the last major of the year, when maybe there wasn't as much riding on it for Novak, having lost that French Open final, but still clear #1, he's here, and Roger Federer with another shot at 18.
Chair umpire today is making history herself. Eva Ozdraki-Moore, the first female chair umpire of a U.S. Open final. Overall, it's her 3rd Grand Slam final. There's going to be too much noise around the court to hear much of the coin toss. These fans are ready. Federer wins the toss, and of course he will unleash what has been a dominant serve to begin this final. Folks on their feet for the coin toss. Gives you an idea how long they have waited for Federer's return to a U.S. Open final. It's been 6 years since he's been in this match. Guys, he assures us that he has not forgotten how to play one of them. But in that interim, in that time since he lost to Del Potro in the 5th set, this is now the 5th time for Djokovic in this final, and he's won a total of 8 majors.
Well, first of all, Chris, I'm glad you mentioned ESPN, because I just want to give a quick shout out to all the men and women behind the scenes that have helped make that happen. As someone who watched the U.S. Open growing up, even watched this guy and drove him to his finals, to see the work behind the scenes that everybody on ESPN did for this day to happen is awesome. And obviously for these guys, it's a little bit of same old, but there's so much at stake for both these players. Djokovic, as we've talked about, could do something that even Serena couldn't do this year. The story has always been about Serena. He's 1 match away from winning the slam, all the slams this year, having lost in the French final. And here he is playing maybe the guy who made him the player he is. And now, as you said earlier, John, Djokovic has helped Federer become an even better player at 34.
Yeah, that is so true. And the beauty of it is that it appears that possibly even Roger has been forced to become a better player at this point. So late in his career, he's finally adapted the attack tactic, which we've been waiting for years. And this crowd, it actually is going to turn out better for the fans, I believe. The energy and the players is going to be unbelievable, because it's turned into a night match. It's cool. And here's the biggest part of it to me, because we say, why in the world, or how has Roger not been in the final in this long a period of time? And you got to think that the physical toll it takes on a hard court is a big part of it. And here's a guy who went through Cincy and here in the finals without having lost a single set. And of course, obviously, the serve we've talked about has had great deal to do with it. So that makes this so much more intriguing because you have one of the best servers serving better than he ever has against the greatest returner. We talk about that, we exaggerate maybe sometimes, but Novak Djokovic is the greatest returner in the history of the game at his peak right now. It's going to be an incredible match.
Both guys good shape physically, which is a great aspect of this final because so often at the end of the year the wear and tear builds up. Federer could not have been fresher. Has played less than 10 hours of tennis to get to the final. We can't find anyone since every round was best of 5 that's played that quickly. Djokovic has dropped just a couple of sets. So there's the question, guys, of current form versus matchup, which has been a little bit problematic for Federer against Djokovic in best of 5.
Yeah, best of 5 is obviously the X factor when it comes to these two. I think the conditions at night being a bit slower, you give the slight edge to Djokovic because it may be tougher for Federer to win the cheap points on his serve. But you are exactly 1,000% right, Chris. There's no excuses now. Both guys are playing at their highest level. Roger Federer comes in having beaten Djokovic and Murray on a hard court in Cincinnati. Djokovic has got so much confidence in the big match, and the way Federer is playing this all-out aggressive style, that to me is all because of how hard it's been for him to get over the finish line here at the U.S. Open.
It's even with these two great guys about nerves, ultimately. I mean, how they're going to handle this when we get back here in a couple minutes and finally get this U.S. Open final underway.
Finally.
One final timeout, then we'll find out if Federer can win this title and turn back the clock or whether Djokovic can maintain his dominance atop the men's game.
I'd never have guessed tennis would help me discover so much. Like I was a total natural, and my brothers weren't. But the only thing better than a big trophy was making my parents proud. I was lucky to build lasting friendships and learn what it feels like when the hard work pays off. Finding myself in the game gave me the chance to help kids get their start. There's a place in tennis for everyone. It's a game that stays with you for life.
Fact. When you take Advil, you get relief right at the site of pain, wherever it is. Advil stops pain right where it starts. Relief doesn't get any better than this. Advil.
Of course, Mother Nature, one parting shot the last year that rain could delay a Grand Slam final with the roof ready for next year. The steel superstructure really has protected the players in this court from wind throughout. So very unique conditions for this final. Darren Cahill with his unique perspective courtside. How do you see this final playing out, Darren?
Well, I think the first set's going to be crucial, especially for Roger Federer, because Novak, in fact, big siren going off there, just scared the hell out of me. In any case, the first set's going to be crucial for Federer because only once when he's dropped the first set has he come back to actually beat Novak, and that's more exaggerated over the course of 5 sets. Cooler conditions here as well. The wind is blowing around outside, but coming inside here to the stadium, no breeze to speak of whatsoever. So it's very much like an indoor match. That's a little bit of an advantage for Roger Federer, but I think the cooler conditions make it a little bit slower, tougher for Federer to play that aggressive game, even though he's going to do it. We know he's going to do it. But Novak is the best defender in the game, so I give a slight, very slight edge to Novak to win this.
I think that's the best part of this whole roof coming out on top is the lack of wind, and it's allowed the top players to really play at their peak, as we hope they will now.
3 hours late, but the buzz certainly not diminished. U.S. Open Men's Championship.
Thank you.